He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News and a New York Times best-selling author. And on this podcast, he brings deep research, prescient analysis, and world-class guests. He's Alex Marlow, and this is the Alex Marlow Show.
All right, welcome to the Marlow Show. Glad you're here. Yesterday was a fun show. It was interesting because we got attacked by Google and YouTube and Wikipedia. And it's not censorship, but they did put a warning on the show because I went on this rant about how Wajahat Ali, the far-left radical, who's an American, by the way, I think he was born in California. And so we always produce the best people. We really do. How he was basically sanctifying the Great Replacement. And I looked down the video, and there's a big, bold warning sign from Wikipedia on the Great Replacement. It says the Great Replacement, also known as replacement theory or Great Replacement theory, is a debunked white nationalist far-right conspiracy theory by French author Renaud Camus. So this is, it's been debunked, guys. We got the video. I played the video of Wajahat Ali saying that all the Indians and Pakistanis are coming here and that the whites have lost. And yet they felt the need to say it was debunked. And it's far right and it's white nationalist. It's so interesting when it's the left who are the ones who are constantly obsessed with race. They're the ones who introduce race. And then they're the ones who do all of the efforts to try to make sure that we're constantly talking about race and focused on race. So I've got that clip for you. And we got to play it again because keep that in mind that this is Google and YouTube, the biggest tech giant on earth. I mean, I guess maybe you could argue Apple's bigger, but combined, I would say Google and YouTube, which is, under Alphabet, is the most powerful, most influential, deep ties to our government, as I've reported over and over again, combined with Wikipedia, which is a huge monopoly on information and fake news. And I wrote about this extensively in Breaking the News, my first book, about how Wikipedia, it's almost impossible to change falsehoods. It's very hard to get falsehoods removed from Wikipedia. And now they're out there and they're pushing the Great Replacement. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what's happened here when you've got the biggest tech giants on earth running for the defense of radical left people who hate America and they hate Americans. It's so important about Wajahat Ali. When you listen to this clip, if you missed it yesterday, well, what can I say? But I'm going to play it all. He hates Americans. He hates American culture. He's got a horrible analysis of it. And then they rush to his defense to suggest that what I'm putting out there has already been debunked and it's white nationalist. The white nationalist part, by the way, is not white nationalist, obviously. But even if it was, that doesn't make it debunked. What's debunked about it? The guy is admitting that the Indians and Pakistanis are coming here. We're not going there. They're coming here. And then they're going to win and we lose. We white Americans lose. He hates white MAGA. That's what he says. Okay, but don't take my word for it. Let's play the clip that required Google and YouTube to take on the Marlow Show. Here it is.
You have lost. You lost. The mistake that you made is you let us in the first place. See, that's the thing with brown people. I'm going to say this as a brown person. There's a lot of us. Like a lot. There's like 1.2.
So be clear here. We've lost and the winners are the brown people. And I'll tell you, one piece of evidence that maybe he's right is Google. Because there's a lot of people at Google, the very top echelons of Google are Indian-born people. And not to mention other companies like Microsoft, Satya Nadella. I think he's an Indian person. Sundar Pichai, of course, is Indian. Isn't the CEO of YouTube Indian as well? I mean, I'm just going. Yeah, Neil Mohan, a American, so born in Lafayette, Louisiana. But what's his background? Is he Indian? He's in the Indian Voices Wikipedia. We know Wikipedia is never wrong. So Indiana and Indian, that's kind of fun. So anyway, here's the point: is that I don't. These people who are here, he moved to India with his family. So excellent. And I got to tell you, I've got Indian people in my life who are close to me. Some of our closest family friends are Indian. We don't agree on a lot of politics, I'll tell you that. But this suggestion that these people in companies that are run by Indian people are telling me when an Indian guy or a Pakistani guy says flat out, the Browns have replaced the whites and we've won. And then I'm the crazy person for saying this when he's the guy who's saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm not introducing it. I am saying it. I'm not introducing it. Anyway, here we go.
1.2 billion in India. There's more than 200 million in Pakistan. There's like 170 million in Bangladesh. Those are just the people there. I'm even talking about the folks who are expats or immigrants. There's a bunch of us, and we breed. We're a breeding people. And the problem is you let us in 1965. There were a few of us beforehand, but once you let one of us in, you know what happens with brown folks? Our grandmother comes, our grandfather comes, our uncle comes, our aunt comes, our cousin comes, our second cousin comes, our third cousin comes. Then we have kids, a bunch of kids. And then guess what? Some white women, you know, the Western civilization women, the pure women, the American women, quote unquote, the Rust Belt women, the real women, they like some of us brown folks. We don't take them. They come to us. So we're embedded. We are everywhere.
At this point, it's all a warning to us. It's already happened, and they've used chain migration to overwhelm us. And I kind of appreciate the candor. It's better this way than for them to lie to us. And for them to suggest that, no, we're not doing chain migration. No, we're not trying to replace white Americans. This is much more clear to hear. But so why they put a conspiracy label on my content? Like, my content's so wrong. I'm just playing their own clips and giving you very easy analysis of it.
Everywhere. I've traveled this country. I'm going to speak as a brown person. Brown people are everywhere. There will be a Patel Motel or there will be a Desi restaurant everywhere. I want you to realize this. You have lost. Your story is a shitty story filled with misery. It's filled with bland chicken. It's filled with terrible, terrible dry ass meat. Your music sucks. All your culture sucks. Nobody. That's why the kids like listen to black people and their music. That's why the kids love Latinos. Your parties suck because they're monochromatic. Our parties have better food, better music, better looking women. Yeah.
He also says elsewhere in the rant that he hates white MAGA. I mean, he says that white MAGA voters are the people that he's targeting here. And he says he's not going after, if you play more of it, he's not going after all white people, just white MAGA voters. Well, yeah, it sounds like he's going after all white women, doesn't it? So he looks down on the white women who are essential to Democrat coalition. His point about our bland chicken is sort of amusing, so I kind of want to let it slide. But it is worth noting that, you know, the number one place in the world to eat is probably New York City. And part of that is because we've been a melting pot and everyone has their cultures and they export their cultures to America because America is the most desirable place to do business. Because you get 1,000,000 to 1 people wanting to come from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh to America and not Americans wanting to go to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Why is that if everything about us sucks? If our culture sucks, if our story sucks? No, our story is beautiful. Most unbelievable story. And it's just interesting because our founding documents, our founding fathers clearly, I think divine intervention played a role, truly making America an exceptional place. That all those brilliant people who were so smart, so fearless, so freedom focused, could devise founding documents that could lead to the most prosperity, as I said yesterday, the greatest good for the greatest number in the history of the world, including for brown people and black people. I don't know. Why does everyone want to keep getting in here if it sucks so bad? And again, of course, the lumping in of brown people and black people with Indians and Bangladeshis is also racist because it shows you the skin tone matters way more than culture. He'll tell you right now, me living in Los Angeles as a white person has a lot more in common with the Mexican culture, for good or for bad, often for good, occasionally maybe not for good, than the average Mexican person in LA is going to have with Indian people. It's all so racist, and it's all being introduced by this guy, and yet Google, YouTube slap a warning on my video. And it pops right up. One of a Marlow Show watcher on YouTube sent me a clip, this huge thing just covering the whole screen. That's how they push the great replacement. This is how they're doing it. And of course, Ali, I don't really care about him. He's a fraud. The guy hates America. And he profits specifically off of Americans and our culture and our freedom. That's how he gets his money, and that's how he gets his notoriety. So, and he does create entertaining content that I can respond to. So that's all fine. I could the pro wrestling stuff, but him being so open about we've replaced you with chain migration, and then I'm the one who gets a warning from big tech companies that are run by Indian people. Interesting, right? So not to say anything disparaging about all Indians. I'm just saying that when you import people en masse, you're also importing their culture. And we need to be more conscious of this. Because if people are openly hostile towards our culture, not just want to add to the pie, trade, share a little bit so that we benefit from some of their great food and they can benefit from some of our economic prosperity and some of our cultural leadership that we've had, both economic and cultural, over the last century on this planet, where we've been number one, bar none. where people come here to thrive and be free and make money and build families and have great times. Like, we could trade a little bit. That's fine. Like, we can handle that. But just saying your culture sucks, I'm going to replace it. That is the great replacement. So it's interesting. I mean, you know what's noteworthy is that this is in the context of something very serious where this is all coming up, which is this rash of violence by illegal aliens, people who are refugees, people overstayed visas in this country. And we pulled a clip from CNN of Andy McCabe, former FBI deputy director, famous from the Russia collusion hoax, where he said specifically that vetting of Afghans is very imprecise and it's an imperfect science. I'll plug my Breitbart Fight Club interview today, which I do a deep dive on this with John Binder, who's one of our immigration experts. And I talked to him, I just asked him very simple questions about what is all the good that all these refugees who we imported and let them stay after Joe Biden's botched Afghan war. What specifically did they do? Did they all help? Because we know tens of thousands of them came in, and were they really all helping us lose that war? Or not lose it, but at least not win it? And did it all demonstrate that they need to stay forever? And are all the people who are staying adding to the pot, or are they taking from it? And then once you consider that, and you know the answer is obviously no, then were we sure we vetted them? The people who provided the intel to us, did we vet those people adequately? Even Andy McCabe says we didn't. And then you see all these headlines, all this data. Kathy Hochul in New York, according to Department of Homeland Security, freed 7,000 criminal illegal aliens while ignoring ICE detainers. Oregon, which is a sanctuary state, illegal alien truck driver accused of killing 2 Americans in a crash. This is a truck driver from India, by the way. Awesome, great replacement going on there. This is a positive one. There's something called Operation Charlotte's Web. We have an exclusive story on this at Breitbart News. It's a border-led task force arrested 400 illegal aliens in Charlotte, North Carolina. And their Operation Charlotte Web, they're found to be in the company of others who had a significant criminal history. So that's what they're trying to do, is to get the people who are criminals and aiding and abetting the criminals. So there's some good news to report. But DHS also reports that in New York City, they're harboring 7,100 criminal illegal aliens currently. We can't get them. We can't get them right away. So this is not about race for us. It's about race for them. And we just believe that America is not just a economic engine. America is a culture and a homeland for people. And there are people here who kind of like the way things have been to some degree. We're willing to improve on the margins here, but we're not getting replaced. That's not going to happen, or it shouldn't happen if we're diligent about it. And that's why I think a lot of people are going to want to have a pretty severe reaction to these types of stories, these types of arguments, and this type of, I think, normalizing these radical thoughts in mainstream Democrat left. And you're seeing it parroted everywhere. So, and that's why you see where MAGA, I think, really does have to dig their heels in. I was listening to Musk talk about some of this stuff. He had a long podcast interview, and he said that the U.S. has been the beneficiary of talent from India, and he's an immigrant himself, of course, and he added the H-1B visa program, though he acknowledged it was been misused by companies. So even Musk, who I think has largely been at odds with Trump on some of this stuff, obviously pro H-1B, he's been pro-China, he's been pro-India, and just noting that even he says the program's being abused. So when you get a guy who's not a hawk on immigration admitting it, when you get a guy who's obviously not a hawk, Andy McCabe, admitting that there's no vetting that's taking place. Musk also raised concern about Trump's policies on tariffs, saying that they distort the market. It's so interesting. Alan Tonelson, who's a prominent writer on economics, who he sent me and Carney a nice tweet about our interview on my show with Scott Bessent from last week, which is a must watch. I hope you guys watched it. Very popular episode, but I just don't know why anyone would miss that one. It's really, really good stuff from the Treasury. And he had a funny quote, which he said is, being wrong about tariffs means never having to say you're sorry. So that's what it is. If everyone was wrong about the tariffs, aside from a handful of people, and then no one's apologized and said, yep, hand up, my bad. My bad. They didn't cause inflation. They're causing a surplus in the treasury. And nations were begging to do deals with us after the tariffs. You know why they're begging to do deals with us? Because Trump said that you're going to have to do a good deal with us or you get no deal. And now all of a sudden, they'll take a fair deal versus the deal where they railroad us. But we've been so comfortable getting railroaded to connect all this stuff. I've just been thinking about how the big conversation right now with on establishment media is whether or not the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has committed war crimes by bombing these drug boats coming from Venezuela. It's pretty easy to identify which ones are the drug boats, and we have good intelligence on the matter. No one's accusing us of bombing not drug boats. And the Washington Post had reported that he hadn't given clear orders on what to do with survivors or something, which the New York Times debunked. I don't even need to get into it because it was obviously fake news, the original Washington Post story. But they're trying to get him for war crimes. This is a guy who they tried to humiliate. They tried to convince to back off of his nomination. They tried to defeat his nomination. And now they're going to threaten to prosecute him. And this has been the language that's been used, is that any war crimes, there's a 5-year statute of limitation. All this is blackmail the American public. Is that if you don't vote for Democrats in the midterms and the general election next time, then what's going to happen, if you let the Democrats win, I'll phrase it this way. Democrats win, then all the people who supported President Trump or part of his administration, they're going to find they have an unpaid tax, an unpaid parking ticket, and they're going to haul them in front of kangaroo courts, haul them into hearings, make their lives miserable, try to prosecute them for war crimes, try to execute some of them probably. All this has a massive chilling effect and is blatantly undemocratic because when you get elected, you get to do stuff. And that's the thing the left has never understood. And of all the people wringing their hands over and over again about J6 and Trump didn't abide by the results of 2020, they all forget that from 2016 to 2020, the Democrats tried to nullify that election where Trump clearly won. It was tested a million times over. And all the thought was lying to the American public that the Russians had rigged the election, and all the evidence suggested it was not true. The election was legit. So be aware of this. And you got to have a real thick skin, a really sturdy spine to be part of Trump's cabinet. And it's just great because it could be, we've got some real leaders, some brave people who are out there, and good for them. Mark Kelly has been leading the attacks on Hegseth and the Trump administration for purported war crimes for the way they're bombing Venezuelan boats. And I got a clip of him from 2021 that Western Lensman, so that's the Western Lensman account, one of a Marlow Show favorite, Western Lensman, where he has Mark Kelly justifying the drone strike in Afghanistan that killed 10 innocent people that I wrote about extensively in Breaking Biden, my second book. But before I do that, I do want to tell you about just a sponsor that I'm so enthusiastic about, which is Preborn. And Preborn right now is what they do is they provide free ultrasounds for young women who are in crisis and they are considering whether or not they would abort their children, having already conceived. And they have data that shows it's more than 2 to 1 that if you see a baby on the ultrasound, you hear the baby's heartbeat in a heartbeat monitor, then you're twice as likely to choose life and to not terminate that child's life. So this is literally life-saving stuff. And for $140, you provide 5 free ultrasounds. $280 is 10 free ultrasounds. A gift of $15,000 provides an ultrasound machine that can save thousands of babies' lives. I'll tell you, I've been keeping an eye on this campaign. This is when I really want to succeed because I believe in this cause immensely. I saw someone over the weekend donated over $1,000 in my name, which I really appreciate. It means a lot because I want to save lives. I want to save babies, and there's no better use of this platform to try to do this. And I do think this is an easy formula to do it. You show the baby her child. How could she terminate a life after she's already seen it? You'd be so perverse to do that. Some people are. Some people, just so demonic that they're so perverse. But overall, showing the mother her child is, you would think it'd be fail-safe, but apparently it's not that great. But it is very, very good, very effective, and twice as likely. I wish it was 10 times as likely, but twice as likely to the mother will choose life. So here's how you get involved. 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. You can click on the preborn banner at alexmarlow.com that I've got up there. And I've got some stuff I'll be launching there next year, alexmarlow.com. And there, or you can go to preborn.com/Marlow. So all that, preborn.com/Marlow. Make sure to include my name in the drop down. They keep track of this stuff. It's very helpful, and it's a good cause and one I wholeheartedly support. It's funny because I don't normally have segues out of the ad. Sometimes you get a segue into the ad, but I got a segue out of the ad. I got a clip. This was making the rounds over the weekend. It's pretty wild. This is Maya Hawke, who is a actress who's in Stranger Things, was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. And you got to listen to this clip to believe it.
My mom wrote this really beautiful essay about her abortion that she got when she was really young, and about how if she hadn't have had it, she wouldn't have become the person that she'd become, and I wouldn't exist, and how both of my parents' lives would have been totally derailed if she hadn't had access to safe and legal health care, fundamental health care. And I, of course, like wealthy people will always be able to get abortions, but so many people will not only not be able to pursue their dreams, but actually lose their lives.
You wouldn't be able to
unsafe.
pursue your dream of pretending in front of a camera if you don't terminate your children that you created through your own choice. So you can just choose not to engage in the activity that leads to conception. But once you've done that and you've created a human life, then it's infinitely more moral just to choose adoption. It's really just amazing how you have to wrap yourself in a knot mentally to think that it's just so important for her career. Like her career, she wouldn't have been an effective actress if she had not murdered her child in the womb. It's hard to find common ground with people who think this way. And I think that's why Hollywood is just so dead to so many of you people, because it's very hard to support the type of people who think this way and then use their fame and notoriety to go on talk shows, which this was on a late night show, and advocate for the murder of children in the womb. Just really, really tough. Don't get it. I don't get it. Just totally illogical to me and just justifying deeply immoral behavior. All right, let's see. Where do we want to go next? Oh, yeah, the Mark Kelly clip that I had talked about. This is Mark Kelly. This is what he thought about Joe Biden doing airstrikes in Afghanistan. Remember, this is the guy who's leading the charge that Pete Hegseth is committing war crimes by bombing drug boats. They're trying to import fentanyl and other drugs in the United States of America. They're killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. This is what he thought about droning in Afghanistan.
Okay, well, thank you. And I know you can't go into much detail about the analysis that led to the August 28th drone strike in Kabul in this open setting, but I would like to note my serious concerns and give you the opportunity to make any comment on how the American people can know that the military will be able to adequately assess targets before conducting future strikes and operations, even as we have even fewer local intelligence and surveillance resources to leverage.
Senator, again, the matter's under investigation, but what I can tell you broadly, and to restate some things I've said earlier, I am responsible for that. It happened in my area of responsibility, so I'm the responsible officer for that strike. Moreover, I was under no pressure, and no one in my chain of command below me was under any pressure to take that strike. We acted based on the intelligence read that we saw on the ground. We acted several times on intelligence that we saw, and we were successful in other occasions in preventing attacks. This time, tragically, we were wrong. And you're right to note that as we go forward and our ability to create what we call the ecosystem that allows you to see what's going on the ground and put all that together, it's going to get a lot harder to do that, particularly in places like Afghanistan. But I can share a little more with you later.
Well, thank you, General.
Thank you, Senator Kelly.
So here's the important point here, is that Mark Kelly asked about the drone strike, asked very politely, very calmly. Again, this Biden administration, that's General Kenneth McKenzie, who was on the screen. If you're not watching, you hear that. That's who was a CENTCOM commander. And during this drone strike, where we were told we were bombing Afghanistan terrorists, and this strike took out a Toyota Corolla in Kabul. It was supposed to be driven by an ISIS-K. Remember when we did the ISIS-K thing for a while, threat? And this was immediately celebrated. Mark Milley called it a righteous strike. And then it was revealed that the drone strike actually took out 10 innocents, including 7 children. And CENTCOM admitted no ISIS fighters are believed to have been killed in the attack. Do you know how many people lost their jobs over this? As far as I can tell, 0. Certainly no one publicly was ever held to account for this deadly mistake, where they literally killed children with the drone strike. All we know is going on in the Caribbean right now is we are killing drug smugglers who, while they're in the process of smuggling drugs, we have no evidence anything other than that has happened. And Mark Kelly's leading the cause that not only is this wrong, but it's a war crime. Stakes are very high. Stakes are very high in this country. We do not want to give the country back to the left, and we shouldn't, because there's so much good that's happening. This is a good way to segue to the big news that's happening at the moment, which is President Trump is doing a cabinet meeting, which are always a blast. His cabinet is, I don't know, it's certainly the most entertaining I've ever seen, and among the most effective, if not the most effective that I've ever seen. And I think it's my number one, but I'm a little biased here. But Vice President Vance did something that I've been really calling for on the show. You've been hearing me do this, and I do this again on Don Jr.'s podcast, which I don't know when that's going to be released, but we taped it yesterday. But I'm calling for a new positivity in the MAGA movement. I think that we need to start emphasizing more of the good stuff that's happening. Check out this from the Vice President.
Food. On every single one of those issues, Mr. President, I think we've made incredible progress. But it would be preposterous to fix every problem caused over the last 4 years in just 10 months. I think that we've done incredibly good. But what I see over the next year, and you heard Brooke talk about joy and gratitude, what I really think this season represents for me, and I think for the entire administration, is that we have now done incredible work to fix what Joe Biden broke. And I think that next year in American growth and American prosperity could be the best year that we've had in the United States of America. It's going to happen because we're all working hard.
So I like that attitude. And I just think that we need to start finding stuff to emphasize that are going well. Like I mentioned the gas prices yesterday. I'm mentioning some of these dragnets that are scooping up all the illegally alien criminals and on the periphery of illegally alien criminals, and start giving ourselves some credit for some things. All right. So Trump, we spent a lot of time holding court. And I've got, most of it was great. Some of it I got some mixed feelings on, but let's take a listen in on what he was talking about. First one that came up was his health.
But you always find something new, like, is he in good health? Biden was great, but is Trump in good health? I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president. You people are crazy. I'll let you know when there's something wrong. There will be someday. That's going to happen to all of us. But right now, I think I'm sharper than I was 25 years ago. But who the hell knows? I took, by the way.
It's really fun. And it's nice that everyone knows that he's going to do his sort of stand-up comedy routine. Also, but those of you who are online are aware that the media was demanding Trump release some MRI results. And then Trump delayed, and he finally releases them, and they're perfect. And this is the AP headline. Or this is what am I looking at? I'm looking at AFP, John France Press. Trump MRA shows president excellent cardiovascular health. So isn't that fun? So it's he's doing fine. Like, he's doing really good, especially relative to Biden, which no one cared. They let the auto pen run the presidency. And I wrote about this in Breaking Biden. I wrote about how we were told that all Joe Biden suffered from was sleep apnea and a stiff gait. The guy was spacing out all the time. He seemed to be nodding off always. Obvious cognitive decline. And he had a long history of physical ailments. He had multiple aneurysm surgeries in his brain that nearly killed him. And we were acting like that didn't matter. We were told that didn't matter at all. So So it's good for Trump to hold court and to get to do some dunks. But remember, they fell for the bait again. I feel like that's what's happening with the drone strikes also in Venezuela. I said this yesterday. I'll repeat this. I do feel like the left has fallen for a trap. And the trap is that that the American people want us to drone the bad guys who are trying to import drugs in our country. So the more we talk about it, I think the better Trump looks. Okay, more Trump. Here we go.
So we're paying, as an example, for the, let's call it the fat drug, FAT, for fat people. Anybody use it at the table? Don't ask. But the fat drug was $135. Think of that. For certain people, $1,300 for certain countries, $1,300 in New York. So in New York, it was $1,300. And in London, it was $135. And a friend of mine called me. He said, what is this? Why is it? He got used to paying $1,300. Well, now what we have it down to is, Bobby, what's the number? Like 150 or something? We have it down to a low number, don't we?
Yeah, it's around 125, 150.
Yeah, think of that. So we got it down from $1,300 to $125 to $140, depending on various countries.
The interesting world we're living in with the fat shot. I like what you call it the fat shot, not the fat drug. The fat drug's kind of funny. Maybe I like the fat drug better. But he's talking about all these, what they call the GLP-1s that are getting people's weight down. It's just going to be a whole new world when it comes to these drugs, because so many of our problems are created by the fact that we're so obese, and it really does make the cost of healthcare very high. It also, of course, our consumption culture, a lot of what these things do just suppress appetite. It's not like you just melt. You eat the same amount and you melt. You don't want to eat as much. So that will reduce some of our consumption, which I think will change the food industry, I think, in a major way. And let's see if there are any long-term side effects, but, it could be a real positive development, but also there'll be other downstream effects in the way it affects us negatively or positively, emotionally and mentally. I was thinking about how for so long when I was growing up, people were really concerned about anorexia and then people not eating enough. And then now everyone's on the fat shot, and there's just so many of these celebrities like Ariana Grande, and I was just looking at one of the actresses in the Stranger Things show on Netflix who just looks like she's never eaten ever. It looks like she's never had something to eat. And it's just interesting culturally. We'll see a big shift here. But I do overall want people to be healthy, and generally speaking, the less overweight you are, the healthier you're going to be. I got a partner in this regard as well, who's part of the show today. Super Palm 1050. So this is something that I've been doing for my recovery, and I'll tell you all about it. But the code's Marlow, get 10% off. But Super Palm 1050 from SunPower LED. SunPower LED. This is an advanced handheld device. Uses dual wavelength red light therapy. So 660 nanometer red and 1050 nanometer near infrared. Deliver therapeutic light even into deep muscles and joints. And here's a testimonial for it. Here's what makes it special. 1050 nanometer near infrared penetrates much deeper than typical red light devices. It provides 4 joules per centimeter squared of energy under 30 seconds, meaning faster sessions, so you don't have to do it very long. And safety is really important. It's got a cooling fan, temperature monitoring, and a fuse circuit that's also patent pending. So they got a cooling system that tries to make it so this is easy and safe for you as possible. But the testimonial, in my daily routine, I use SunPower my hip and back. And honestly, I feel like it's made a real difference. The deep relief is something I haven't gotten from anything else. I trust it because it's powerful but safe. I think safety being concerned is a big deal. But sunpowerled.com is the website, and I've been using it. I've been getting a little more stiffness lately, always back with the babies, and then some knee, and I've made it a part of my routine, and it's pretty great. I mean, this is real cutting edge technology, and the healing power of light, I think, backed by science in a heavy way, and a great way to have a non-invasive treatment before you look at anything more extreme or severe, and especially those of you who are overweight before the fat shot kicks in. So SunPower LED, sunpowerled.com, and then the promo code Marlow get you 10% off of that SunPower 1050. All right, Super Palm 1050. All right, let's play some more Trump.
Down 86%, thank you. And mortgage rates, despite the fact that we have an incompetent chairman of the Fed, a real dope, who should reduce rates. I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that. But he really said it because he's right. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn ox who probably doesn't like your president, your favorite president. But they're going to be coming down. We'll be announcing somebody probably early next year for the new chairman.
Yeah, so keep that clip in mind. He's calling out Powell. He wants rates to drop. Now the prediction is interest rates will drop again. There's a December Fed meeting. So it was 50-50 for a while. It was a guarantee we were going to see lower rates. Then it was down to 50-50. And then now it's now predicted we probably will see a cut. We'll see. Trump wants to be a cut. But keep that in mind while I play this next clip here.
We're smart. They're not going to be able to catch us. They know that. They told me that. Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people. In addition to reducing debt, as you know, I inherited a lot of debt. But it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people. And additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay.
So you guys know I don't like the dividend, the tariff dividend. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's going to be a momentary Band-Aid. And he's not running for re-election, so I don't even see it as something that's some sort of a political coup. I think that people will enjoy their $2,000, but it is inflationary. When you do stimulus like that, we watched this during Biden, when you start putting checks in people's bank accounts, then it just is wildly inflationary, and it creates the inflationary moment that we saw that was largely due to this exact sort of behavior. And so then it's just going to drive prices up, and then is eventually going to eat away the $2,000 that people will be getting that Trump is talking about. And I think that money would be much better off getting directed towards dealing with the debt that we're in. And he says we're going to reduce the debt, but no one's reducing the debt. Maybe our deficit is coming down, but is he really going to reduce the debt? I would love to see it, and I believe he can. But we got to really do some work here, because I would love to see a day where we're not having an income tax. But this is not a clear economic message for me. I do feel like that there is there's more here I think that Trump can do that would be efficient and effective in terms of him getting what he wants, for the public to be convinced that the economy is doing great. But him doing a handout to everyone, I think for a moment it'll be good, but long term, even medium term, is just going to be inflationary. And I'm more worried about inflation than I am about everyone getting $2,000. And it's not going to be everyone. A lot of people are going to be priced out of it. I know I'll be priced out of it, which doesn't make any sense. So, all right. So don't agree on that one. Let's hear some more. Oh, this is a fun one.
But in a nutshell, we're rebuilding the air traffic control under boot edge. There's supposed to be boot edge. Who's another grossly incompetent person? He'd get in his bicycle, ride to work. And he was just terrible. What they do is they take the fiber optics and they take fiber, trying to hook it into copper. And fiber and copper don't mix. You can't do it. But people knew that for the last 30 years since they started doing the fiber. And they spent billions of dollars, and it didn't work. And you saw that by the helicopter crash. You saw that by Into the Plane. You saw that by a lot of things. So we're doing a brand new air traffic control system, and it's going to be the best, and it's going to be from top to bottom. And we have the 3 top companies in the world bidding on it. And it's going to be one bid, and we're going to have one company responsible, and it'll be the best system. And it's going to make this. Look, our skies are safe. Otherwise, we wouldn't let people fly.
So what I love about this is just premium communication. And he does this second nature. But people should understand about what an expert communicator Donald Trump is it him doing the boot edge joke, which is really funny. And this is where he does this, because that's how Pete Buttigieg would write out his Twitter name, like he would spell it phonetically in his Twitter back in the day. And Trump just took that and he just made it his own thing, and it cracks everyone up. But then he gets to deliver that we're doing new air traffic control, we're doing all this new infrastructure, we're doing all these things to benefit to the American people. And people will tune in for the clip because this is hilarious. And the hook is, here's Trump being hilarious, and then you stick around and you learn all the good stuff he's doing. And it's just awesome. And we did get some news, though, that I would consider very mixed about Trump's 2028 possibilities. Check this out.
Because I want to run against it, whether it's not going to be me, it's going to be somebody that's going to probably sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people sitting at this table. Could be a couple of people running together sitting at this table, you know. But I want them to win because we've done a great job for this country, and I want that to be carried forward. And you know, I think we have a tremendous bench, really a tremendous bench. But no, I think that Waltz is a grossly incompetent man.
Yeah, he's retarded too. We learned that as well. Waltz is also retarded. So yeah, but he's not running 2028, and maybe someone at the table will. And I think that's probably true. I think Trump would like it that way. There'll be some others who run, but I get a feeling it's probably going to be someone at that table will be the nominee for Republicans. All right. I overlooked this, but I do want to play this for you because this is Pete Hegseth actually talking about what he's doing at the cabinet meeting, which I think is important to hear this. I probably should have played this earlier in the show, but it's still good now. So check this out.
Stand by saying, as President Trump always has our back, we always have the back of our commanders who are making decisions in difficult situations, and we do in this case and all these strikes. They're making judgment calls and ensuring that they defend the American people. They've done the right things. We'll keep doing that, and we have their backs, Mr. President.
Good job. Thank you very much. Howard?
So we set out to stop the ripoff of the United.
Yeah, that's good. And it's great. And he knows what he's doing. I think Trump knows what he's doing. And I just feel like there's a big trap here. And I think all this is going to work out. And then we're all going to celebrate with some fat drug. Fun. I just like the way Trump is able to roast the fake news so effectively. He's able to communicate the stuff he's working on more effectively than others. And he just makes people happy and excited about things. And I just think that that's a really nice quality that Trump has. And I think Vance gets it. And it's really important in leadership to people want that positivity. So tonight I will tell you that at Breitbart News, we are in election night mode, Tennessee special election. We had it's critical for the balance of power in Congress in Tennessee. It's between Matt Van Epps, a Republican candidate in Congress. He was actually on our Breitbart News Daily radio show today, so you can find some clips of that at Breitbart.com. He was endorsed by President Trump. He's going against Democrat state Representative Afton Ben, who we played one clip of her last week, and I pulled a new Afton Ben clip for all of you. There's a real name, Afton Ben. It just does not sound like a real name. I could extend the joke, but I won't. Let's play Afton.
Crime is, of course, also was a major issue in the presidential election. And I know there are some old posts. You've been asked about those old posts a number of times. My question for you today is whether more money for cops on the streets in the district you hope to represent would help fight crime. Would you?
Those of you who are watching this on the screen, that's Casey Hunt on CNN. She's begging her to say something sane. Please, crazy woman, say something sane so that Democrats will win. That's what CNN is doing here. And let's see if Afton Ben gets
more money for more cops on the streets in your district?
So those past comments were at a time when I was a private citizen, as an activist and organizer, and now as a Tennessee lawmaker, I represent 40,000 individual opinions and political thought.
Right, so what do you think now? Would more money for cops be good or bad?
I think it depends on what the community wants. And so I've worked with communities, at least my constituents, want to ensure that there is investment in their community for community safety, community protection, mental health services. And that's what I'm hearing from at least my constituents.
All right, fair enough.
The word investment just means spending. So just know that. I mean, it's all, I think it was Bill Clinton who came up with this. It's important to pay attention to this stuff, the history of some of these words, is that we just say investment, but that's not what it is. It's spending. So we need spending on mental health. So that was, CNN asked her, do you believe we should spend more on law enforcement? Her answer is, no, we should spend more on mental health. It's not even related remotely, because communities thrive. They generate more money when there's law and order. If you don't think I think about where I'm going to go to shop, where I'm going to go take my family to eat and play based off of safety, of course I do. So if I'm traveling, I'm not traveling to unsafe places. So it's a financial generator. It generates money to have law enforcement. So it's not like it's a fixed pie where if you spend money on law enforcement, you can't spend on mental health. Totally unrelated. All right. Well, hopefully she doesn't win. I'll tell you that. I think Republicans are going to win this one, but it could be close, and we'll be watching it at Breitbart News. Let's see what else. Hollywood power players lining up behind Gavin Newsom, not behind Kamala Harris. Not a huge shock to me. We'll keep an eye on that. John Nolte's got a story, Breitbart.com. 63% now believe college is not worth the cost. That's good news. That's good news. I like that as well. So look, there's some good stuff happening in this country, and we'll be documenting it for you. We'll continue to on The Marlow Show. All right, that'll be it for today. Thanks to Misty for producing the show. Thanks to John Cassio for pulling clips, and I'll talk to all of you tomorrow.